Hello, everybody. We are back. You know me. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and I got my good friend Shane, the Rise and Grind Picker, and we are back. We have returned to YouTube. So today's title of our topic of video is going to be, is there a shortcut to success? That's going to be our topic of a video. So both of us have been off for a week or so from YouTube. Shane, if you recognize his background, he recently just closed and bought a brand new commercial building. What's not brand new built, but it's new to you. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on in your world, Shane.
So I've been moving into this building, and then I got a really bad head cold, and so it was just kind of back to back. But the moving process, I mean, I was working on it probably for 4 or 5 days, trying to hire people. Couldn't hire people, so I had to do it all myself. No one really wanted to work. I was offering $15 an hour cash, and I think I hired 4 people for 1 day, and then the rest of it I had to move myself. So it was a lot of moving, a lot of heavy lifting, and it just, man, I was beat after that, and I got moved in, and now I got a little bit stuff to do here and there, but other than that, I'm pretty much running at full bore, like listing and shipping. So.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, the past week or so, guys, I haven't been doing a lot on YouTube. Where I'm living at, the landlord of our property came to me and said that they want to sell the property. So I've been kind of looking for a new residence to stay out because I don't want to wait till the last minute. So I found a place. I don't know if I'll show you guys on camera. This is a place that's in Sarasota. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, has a 2-car garage, and it's like 10 minutes from the beach in Siesta Key in Sarasota. So it has everything that I've been looking for. It's got pool, it has a hot tub, it has a gym, it's gated community, and so it has everything that I'm looking for. Like I said, 2 bedrooms, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and everything that I've been looking for, except I wanted to find something in Clearwater, Sarasota, Clearwater area. And so we ended up getting a place in Sarasota area. So actually, considering everything, I'll show you guys a photo. This is like the photo of the front. So considering everything, it's going to be like $800 a month for everything all in. Wow. For the rent. And then I'm hoping that if I pay half of that, it'd be like $400 a month for me. So that's what I've been working on, trying to, as I have to have stability. That's very important to me. And so that's what I've been working on the past week or so, trying to find a place that like has everything that I want, but still is going to be in the price line that I want. Because believe it or not, there's places here in Florida near the beach when you're 10 minutes from the ocean and you're trying to find all the amenities that you're looking for, usually the price range isn't where you want it to be. So that's what I've been doing. I've been spending most of my time trying to get all the paperwork done to make sure everything is set up and ready to go. So so that's what I've been up to lately. And Shane just got a commercial building. So anyway, so today's title of our video is going to be, is there a shortcut to success, or success in life, or success in reselling? This past week while I was off from YouTube, we had a big event down in Orlando on Friday. It wasn't my event. It was a big event with Amazon sellers, and Amazon Lit was there. Romer the Romer was there. Another YouTuber. There was a bunch of big time Amazon sellers at this big convention. And so they were all there, and I pulled up there. I pulled up to where the valet parking was because I didn't know. I had never been there before. It's at this big hotel. I'd never been there before. I was trying to find out where this bar is, where we were supposed to meet at. So I pull up in my old 20-year-old Toyota Camry, and I pull up to the valet parking, and I'm just asking the guy. And I said, "Hey, I'm looking for this location we're all supposed to meet up at for this meetup for our Amazon sellers." And Shane, I tell you, dude, I've never seen so many Lamborghinis in my entire life at one place, dude. There was like car after car. It was like green, orange, blue, red. There was all these different color Lamborghinis all lined up at the valet. And I was looked at the valet guy. And I was like, am I in the right place? Because I'm driving this 20-year-old Toyota Camry, and I'm pulling up there at the valet parking, and because I'd never been there, and I was asking for directions. And I'm like, hey, I was supposed to go to this meetup. Can you tell me how to get there? And he says, well, this is valet. You need to go around the corner and park in the self-parking. So I did. And I went there, man, and it was just an eye-opening event for me because there were so many other like-minded people and other entrepreneurs that were killing it. Like, for example, guys that I got to meet, like Eric from Amazon Lit. This guy's doing like $50 million a year in sales on Amazon. And we had a one-on-one time where I just got to sit here one-on-one, just me and him talking and having a conversation. And I was asking him, I was like, well, how much you make net profit after all your expenses. They have a wholesale business where they buy products wholesale, they send them into Amazon FBA, and he has a big warehouse with 45 employees, and it's like a 20,000 square foot warehouse. And he says, well, we're doing like $50,000, not no $50 million a year, and he said we're making about 8% profit of that. So if you just did the math, let's say 10% profit of 50 million is still $5 million a year profit. And so just being around other like-minded people. And so if you guys get a chance to go to a networking event or a meetup event where you're hanging out with people that, it's not saying that they're people that are what smarter than you, but you're just hanging out with people that are making way more money than you are. And if you're hanging out with these people, they can kind of teach you and coach you some things and teach you things you didn't know about. Because I didn't even have an Amazon account. I was just there hanging out because I wanted to meet some new people. And it was funny to me because here these guys are in Lamborghinis asking me questions about YouTube, asking me questions about making money on eBay. And then here I am asking them questions about, hey, tell me about how things are going on Amazon business. So that kind of gave me an idea for our topic of our video is there a shortcut to success? I probably get, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 emails a day from different people asking me like what they can do, how they can make money. And the thing that, it doesn't bother me. I don't mind answering emails and helping people out any way I can. But what bothers me is when I get emails from people and they want to do the least amount of work possible. They want to add the least amount of value as possible. Then they want to make the greatest amount of return on their investment of time and money and energy. And those people kind of get on my nerves a little bit because it's almost like I'm like, bro, you're not buying a scratch off lottery ticket at the gas station and trying to turn $5 into $100,000. Like you have to add a ton of value to get a bunch of value back. So that's going to be our topic of today. And so anyways, I got to meet up with some big time Amazon sellers, and they none of them were arguing. There was no fighting. No one was talking bad about each other. And I just was having a conversation with them, and they were just I was asking them advice like, hey, what do I need to do as far as getting started on Amazon, and what are things that I can do differently? And they were telling me, dude, just get started. They were like, we have people that's been doing this for 10 years. We have a coaching program if you need coaching, if you need help. We have people here that we have weekly meetings every week to sit down and brainstorm with other entrepreneurs. All you have to do is get started. Because I was telling them, I said, I heard Amazon had an issue recently where they only allow you to list so many items that you can send in to Amazon FBA, and then they cap you on how many items you can ship in. And he said, well, dude, just cross that bridge when you come to it. He's like, it's like, bro, you'd be making millions and millions of dollars if you just got started. He was like, if you're really good and he's like, you got 5, 6 years experience on eBay. He's like, that same knowledge and skills are transferable on Amazon. He's like, just get off your butt and get started. And he's like, why haven't you got started yet? And of course, sometimes I ask questions and I feel like an idiot. I feel like the teacher, asking questions to the teacher, and I'm that kid in the back of the classroom asking questions. But if you don't know, you don't know. Like, that's what it's about. My dad told me when I was a kid, Shane, he said the 2 things in your life that's going to make all the difference in your life. He said it's the books you read and the people you meet. So if you go out and you meet new like-minded people, they can open your eyes and you can see things differently and learn things differently that you never would have learned on your own. And so that's why it's important if you guys get a chance to go to any networking events or meetup events and it's free admission to go, you should go. Take an hour or 2 out of your day. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what you can learn. You never know what people will be asking you questions, trying to learn from you. And it's just a cool time to meet new people and hang out. So anyways, go ahead, Shane. I feel like I'm doing all the talking today.
No, you're good, man. Yeah, events are good. I mean, I went to eBay Open as my first big event. I don't think I've ever been to an Amazon event, to be honest with you. But I did see the one in Miami that they had, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And for me, I think Amazon is like, when you start selling on Amazon, like, definitely the first step is make an account. But it is definitely tough. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to learn about Amazon, about rank and BSR and stuff like that. And, I feel like if you sell probably 10,000 a month and if you hit $10,000 in 1 month in your first 6 months, you're doing good. Like, you're doing good, because most Amazon sellers, I would say 70% probably don't even peak $10,000 a month. I would say that's probably maybe even low. It might even be higher. So, the thing at the Amazon is like, you know, like getting a good supply chain down and stuff like that. But yeah, Amazon events can definitely be fun, and I think definitely they have a lot of them around too. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so yeah, I just think it was on Friday night, and like I said, I got to hang out with some cool people there, and some people I've never met before. This one guy, his name was Jamie, and he was just I swear I just saw him on the Social Proof podcast like a week ago, and like the very next week I got to meet him in person, and he
That's
has this
cool.
huge business where he does private label on Amazon.
Mm,
And I think he said he's doing like over $75 million a year or something with his
it's
business.
awesome.
His
It's
business is
awesome.
up in Atlanta, and I just asked him, I said, hey, man, if you're making so much money on Amazon, I was like, why don't you just move down to Florida and pay zero state tax instead of
Right.
paying all these state taxes in Atlanta? And of course, he said he has a business partner and he has employees and he has a wife and
Mm.
kids and family. And I said, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, like, if I had an option and I could know I could save, let's say 8% or 10% state tax, and all I had to do is move, 6 hours south to Florida instead of Georgia, I'd be there, bro. I'd figure it out. But anyways, it
Well,
was cool to.
and definitely the difference is like, so like think about like this. So like one of the differences in, I would say, states is like here in Illinois, I get hammered with taxes. But I literally bought this building I'm sitting in. It's with the basement and everything. It's probably pretty close to 4,000 square feet, and I paid 35,000. So like property here in Illinois, super cheap, like dirt cheap. And if you're making money, then you can afford to buy probably. I mean, I own 3 properties right now. So I have a rental house, I have this, and I have my house that we live in. And so property is a lot cheaper here, but like different states, like it's weird to see the breakdowns because realistically, whatever state you live in, like that's how you're going to run your business. And like for me, like we were looking to move down to Alabama, and I was looking for commercial property, and you could not touch one. You couldn't touch one for an under $400,000.
Yeah. And you know what's cool about that, Shane, is let's say hypothetically, if you were renting a warehouse space and let's say your rent was $1,000 a month, well, so within 2 to 3 years, the money that you paid cash for the building, you would have took you like 3 years of you just paying rent to have a commercial space somewhere or a storage units or something to store that much merchandise. And now you have a building that you own free and clear, that you don't have any payments or
Oh, I
anything
don't. I
on.
don't want it free and clear. I mean, I finance everything, so I had the money to pay cash. But I'm a firm believer in financing. Like if you can get a bank loan, I feel like financing anything is the best way to go
Yeah.
because you're going to take that money and you can put it back in product for your
All
business.
right. So Shane, let's talk about our topic for the video is there a shortcut to success in reselling? You've been doing
Mm.
this resale game for a long time. And when people ask you that, or if someone came to you and said, hey, Shane, tell me the secret. What's the secret of what I can do? Is there a shortcut? What can I do to kind of, forego this whole process and speed this process along to start making more money on reselling? Like, what would you tell them? Like, because I kind of think the first thing you would say would be like, no, there's not a shortcut. But
Mhm.
yes, there kind of is if you hang out with other people that are successful. Like if you're modeling other successful people and you're doing what these people tell you to do, is kind of a shortcut, but it's like you're still doing the work. There's not like an actual like shortcut or cheat code that you can put in, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's not like there is no really shortcut you can take. Like you got to put the work in. I mean, hands down, you got to put the work in. And here's the problem. So what one person does, you can't directly model. It's impossible. And I learned that the hard way. Like I started out before I even made YouTube videos. I started out I was a viewer of YouTube videos and I tried all these different ways that these YouTubers would be like, hey, do this or sell books on Amazon. And I was never successful. But I started, I kind of honed in on a couple key people that I liked to watch. and I kind of spun their style off and made like kind of my own style in reselling. And realistically, that's what you want to do. You got to really pave your own way. You can't really copy anyone, because like if you're selling on Amazon and this Amazon seller is like, well, I sell 20 million, he has suppliers that you're never going to be able to get. Like as of right now, like you're not going to start out on Amazon and be able to start out with his suppliers. They're spoken for. Like, and those suppliers, like the big Amazon seller, PharmaPacks on Amazon, he was like the biggest like seller in like over the counter medicines and stuff like that. He would get, you know, so much money like off on products that he could sell it for $8 and make money. You know, it might have been 5% margins, but so for realistically, like I think the biggest thing is you really got to figure out your own strategy. Like it's hard to duplicate someone else's strategy, but you can kind of take a few pieces of strategies from different people and kind of piece it together, I think.
Yeah, I just don't want people to think that they can just watch a certain YouTube videos, read an ebook, buy a course, buy a coaching session, and let's say Shane made $100,000 in sales on eBay last year, and I bought your ebook or a coaching session or bought a course, so therefore this year in 2021 I should make $100,000 a year reselling just because I bought this course. Like
Yeah, no.
you're still gonna like even if somebody gives you their blueprint or their philosophy or their business model, like you still have to do the work. And like Shane said, you kind of have to make it your own. You can't just like it's not like a video game cheat code where I just put like A B X Y and press enter in a circle and then we're good. Like you're still gonna have to kind of fill the gap and do the work. Like you said, finding the inventory, listing it, shipping it, dealing with customer returns, dealing with complaints, dealing with all these other things that could pop up, right?
Well, and let's get real here. Like I'm not $1 million seller. I'm a 6-figure seller, but the difference between realistically, like the guys that selling 5 to 10 million, they're not outsourcing. They don't source. They just order wholesale. Like they're ordering wholesale stuff. They're not outsourcing thrift stores. They're not doing that stuff. Like that's what I think the biggest gap between people that see stuff is like you can watch YouTube, right? And in reselling, you watch a YouTube video and you're like, oh, you can make $200,000 a year thrifting. Well, that's hard to do because you got to go find all the product. And like my business model, like everybody starts at, I feel like the same place. Like everybody starts at the same place where like I started with $20. I started hitting thrift stores slowly. And now I don't think I source. I might source like once a month, if that. Like I don't go out and source. I have enough inventory to list, and I mix it with ordered wholesale and ordering different other stuff. And I do thrift stores once in a great while, but I don't go out and do thrift stores every day or every week. Like most of the time I'm here,
Right. So if somebody was let's just talk about your perspective for a minute, Shane. So if somebody's in a situation and they have an eBay store, maybe they're starting to make some profit, and they're like, hey, I see these other people, for example, that are doing $50,000 in sales on eBay in 90 days, and they're like, I'm not anywhere close to that. Like it's kind of hard when you're comparing yourself. Let's say you're doing $1,000, $2,000 a month on eBay, and you see other people posting on YouTube or Instagram saying, hey, I did $50,000 in sales in the past 90 days. Like some of this stuff is just going to come with time and with experience, right? Like you don't just go from 0 to 100 miles an hour like in 2 seconds, right?
Well, and here's the other thing though too is like, yeah, but like, okay, I'm glad you brought this up because I have a friend. I met her. Her and her husband are really great. I'm friends with them. When I had a Patreon, she was in my Patreon, and then we became really good friends. And so, she called me and she's like, man, I was in this reselling group and I seen that this person posted they they've only been reselling a year and they made over 100 grand. And she's like, I feel like a loser. And I'm like, well, no, because you don't know the situation. I had a similar situation where, and it's easy to find eBay stores. Like, it's not tough. Like, I seen a dude posting in a group and he was posting these huge numbers. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I looked his account up and he was selling all wholesale Pokemon cards. Like, you got to understand, people will drop ship stuff. And if they sell 70,000 a month, what's the profit? They might only make $500 a month. You don't know their profit margins. You don't know their overhead. I mean, this building, like, my payment's $280 a month. That's cheap. But most people in this building, you're probably paying thousands. You don't know the situations, and that's where you got to look at. You really can't compare yourself, because here's the thing is, and I'll be honest, I've been an Amazon seller for 8 years. I've sold on eBay since 2006, and there's a lot of fluff out there where, like, I know Amazon sellers personally that sell 4, 5, 2 million, 4 million, 5 million a year, and like, literally, I know of people who just buy stuff on credit cards and live off of the credit card points. They might sell 2 or 3 or 4 million a year, but they're living off their credit card points. They're making 30 grand a year. I have some friends that are Amazon sellers that sell like 2 million a year, but they have way higher profits than most people. They sell 2 million, but their profit margins are huge. So you just don't know people's situations. And I feel like, if someone's drop shipping, they're not going to make good margins. The margins are going to stink. And,
and like you said, Shane, everybody's situation is different. There's some people that have big commercial buildings to pay, or they have employees that they have to pay. Maybe they have contractors and they have to pay a lister. They have a photographer person. There's some people that have big storage units, and every month they're paying their overhead for the storage units. So everybody, and the cost of living is different in each state. We were just talking about that earlier, how like somebody could be making, you could make 100 grand a year, like out where in Kentucky, and you're living like in a mansion house, but 100 grand a year in California, you're living in the slums. Like the same.
I mean, look at my situation. Like, I live in a house that's 2,600 square feet with 2 kitchens and 2 bathrooms, and we paid $79,000 for it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is the cost of living in different cities and different states are different depending on where you live. And it's all variable. So if you're in a situation and you're like, man, my sales are slow, I'm not making, I see other, YouTubers, other content creators or other resellers, and they're posting their sales stacks or whatever. You just don't know. Everybody's business model is different. I mean, I see some people that will go pick up shoes, for example, at Ross for $20 and sell them for $100. And they're paying 0 insertion fees, so their profit margin may be $80. Whereas, like, let's say I picked this up at the Dollar Tree for $1, and I'm selling it for $20. Like, our profit margins aren't the same. You know what I'm saying? We're doing different business models.
Or it might be flip flopping. You might have someone that posts a picture in a group of 20 sales, and they lost $100 because they sold everything too cheap. Like, you just don't know. That's why. Yeah. Like, you need to establish a baseline. Like, when you're reselling, if you really want to be successful, no matter if you're part-time or full-time, like, what amount of money do you want to make? Like, establish a baseline.
Yeah, Shane. So I got a question for you. Like, so we're going to establish a baseline, but what advice would you have for somebody if they wanted to try to level up their reselling business? They're not at a point yet where they want to buy a commercial building, or they want to have a brick and mortar location. Maybe they're working at home part-time or full-time out of their house. Like, what would be your advice to them to help them out so they can try to scale and level their business? Like, what would you tell them?
I mean, advice is, the first thing I would ask them is, well, how many items are you listing a day? I mean, how many items are you listing a day? And that's going to tell me what you're doing wrong. Like, just that one question. If you're on eBay, if you're on Amazon, then it's just literally like, how many shipments are you sending in a day? Are you having trouble finding stuff? Well, if you're having trouble finding stuff, then that's a problem. Like, it's either or. And so I feel like it's just putting in the time, like in the effort. And it's crazy. Like most, and I was watching Chris Daily Refinement the other day. And I mean, me and Chris are friends. Like we're good friends in real life. Like we talk, and he said something on his channel, like he crunched the numbers, and like it was like the majority of eBay sellers only list an average of like 4 items a day. And that blew my mind. I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Well, majority of the eBay sellers are selling less than 10 items a day, Shane. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. So,
Yep.
I think it just depends on how much time you want to dedicate to your business, how much work you want to put into it. I mean, I feel like
Yep.
there's a lot of people that are like hobby sellers. Maybe they're retired or they're looking for extra
Yep.
income, or maybe they're a stay-at-home mom and they have 2 and 3 kids and they're just doing it part-time, just whenever they have free time. Maybe like in between
Yep.
their TV shows, or maybe they laid the kids down for a nap and they list a handful of items here and there. So I
Right.
agree with you. A large majority of people are not trying to scale this into $100,000 a year business, but the people that are, it's just going to take time, guys. Like I'll tell you, man, the more time and experience you put into something, you're going to start getting better and better at it as you go along. So
Well, and
anyway,
my main piece of advice is like keep your overhead super low. Don't go out and buy stuff. Don't buy fancy stuff. I literally make good money. I still don't live fancy. Like I drive a 2001 truck and I have a 2011 van. Like I don't live fancy. I don't need that stuff. And
yeah,
that's the thing is like, yeah, do I want a Lamborghini? No. But some people do. If you want a Lamborghini, you're going to have to work harder. And that's what you got to understand.
yeah, I'm with you, Shane. I make over 100 grand a year between everything that I'm doing, and I drive a 2000 Toyota Camry. Could I
Mm-hmm.
get a brand new car? Sure. But do I want brand new car payments? I was actually talking to Shane about this backstage before we got started. Do I want to pay, the average car payment, let's say $450, $500 a month? In 6 months from now, that new car smell wears off, and you're
Mm-hmm.
still paying $500 a month plus let's say another $200 a month for full coverage insurance. That's
Mm-hmm.
700 plus gas plus maintenance and repairs, and now
Plus
you may be
interest,
out.
plus
Yeah,
interest on your loan.
right. So now you went from having a car paid off with no car payments to now you're
Mm-hmm.
spending 700, 800, $1,000 a month. For what reason? Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
just using the car just to go to the thrift store, or go to yard sales, or go to the grocery store and back, like at what reason is to do that? So I understand it's like everybody has different priorities, but if you can have very, very low expenses, you're going to
Yep.
be pretty well off. We're coming up on the 30-minute. We're going to coming up on the 30-minute mark, Shane. I just wanted to tell a story real quick to wrap this up, guys. So I had a dream the other day, and this dream doesn't pertain to reselling, but this was a weird, weird dream. This is like 2, 3 days ago. So I'm dead asleep, and I have this dream, and in my dream, I'm dreaming that I went back to high school again. Okay, now I was in the same high school. I had the same teachers, but instead of me being in a 17, 18-year-old body, I'm in a 37-year-old body right now, like a full-grown man body, right? So I'm sitting in this classroom, and I'm in class again, and I don't really notice anything different because you're looking at everything like from first person point of view. And I'm just like, hey, teach, I can't fit into this desk. I'm not supposed to be here in this classroom. I got to get back to work. And they're like, oh no, you're supposed to be in the class. And it was a weird, weird dream. I had the same parents, the same mom and dad, and I had different classmates, and it was the same classroom, right? And so I was in this dream, and then all of a sudden, for some reason or another, I was on a break, and I went to the library, and I came across this yearbook from 20 years ago when I graduated high school in 2002. And right when I opened up this yearbook to figure out what was going on, I woke up out of my dream. So the whole next day, I'm sitting here thinking about this dream, and I'm like, man, that was a crazy dream. And I thought all day long, I thought to myself, I said, now, if it was possible, time travel isn't possible, but if I could go back 20 years prior, what would I do differently? Right? That's what I thought about all day. I was like, was there anything that I would do differently from 2002 to now? What would I have done differently? And the only thing that I really thought that I would have done differently is I would have probably spent less time going to college, and I would spend more time with my family. That's it. Like I wasn't like a person that did a lot of partying or drinking or smoking or drugs or any of this stuff. But I was like, man, do I have any major regrets? Because I was like, why did I have this weird dream? And that's the only thing that I could think of. I'm like, I would have spent more time with my family, less time in college with professors because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want to be a school teacher. So me going to college and asking professors advice on starting a business when they don't have a business themselves. They're school teachers. So anyways, and so then the next day came and I quit thinking about what I would have done differently in high school and what would I did differently 20 years from now. And I kept thinking to myself, what would I do differently right now? You know, I said, I can't go back in time 20 years in the past. I can't relive my life from 20 years ago. I can't go back and change anything that happened 20 years ago. But I just sat there and that whole day, that's all I thought to myself. I said, what would I change about my life right now? Because as of right now, we don't have a time machine. I can't go back in the past. There's nothing I could change about it. But what would I do differently right now? Because, you know, all of you guys are in control of your life right now. You can decide what clothes you wear, what job you work at, what car you drive, what house you live in, what bed you sleep in. All this stuff is variables that you can control. So I'm going to ask Shane real quick before we close this out, Shane. So if you were in this situation, what would you have done differently if you could go back from high school till now? Was there any major regrets? Is there anything you would have done differently?
You know, I would have done a lot differently, but here's what I can tell you is I still wouldn't change it because I feel like everything I endured in my life has defined who I am. And I don't think, honestly, if I would have went through the stuff I went through in my past and in my life, I don't think I would be this person. I mean, this is the thing is if I had a super easy life, I mean, I probably would not be as hard of a worker as I am. And so I just, you know, I probably wouldn't change anything, but I would definitely give myself some advice, like stay away from, you know, parties. And I used to drink a lot and, you know, so, I mean, you know, I was a little bit of a partier. So, I mean, you know, I probably still would have, you know, going back, if I could go back, I'd probably do the same thing. So,
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's what I thought. I was like, I would probably do the same thing over again, but I probably would have spent less time going to college, hearing a professor telling me stories about his pet cat, or me turning down double shifts overtime at work to go to college. And then I get there and there's a note on the door that says, sorry, class has been canceled. And I'm turning down money to go to this class and I'm paying for the class. And then the professor doesn't show up, or he wants to tell me a story of his pet cat that has nothing to do with the exam. I just feel like I wasted a lot of time in college, which, like I said, college is not bad if it's what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, lawyer, an accountant, let's say you want to be an engineer, if there's something that you really want to do, then great. But for me, I felt like I spent countless hours in college when I could have redirected that time and energy into other things, and it could be better off further along in life than I am right now. But anyways, guys, that's all we have for this episode. This was episode 9 on Is There a Shortcut to Success? And if you want to go catch episode 10 is going to be on Shane's channel, Rise and Grind Picker. So go follow Shane. All the links are going to be down below in the description. So go follow him. His YouTube channel is Rise and Grind Picker. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Do you have anything else you would like to add before we close this out, Shane?
No, man, I just think that, you know, realistically, I mean, success, it does take time. And I think that the biggest part of success is putting the work in. And if you're not willing to put the work in, then, you know, I mean, selling online and stuff is not meant for everyone. So, you know, I mean, if you're not willing to put the work in, like sometimes people are better off selling part-time and working a full-time job or something, you know, but realistically, it's all about putting the time and putting the work in.
Yeah, guys. So, you know, the missing ingredient of this math equation, someone could give you a blueprint. They can give you an ebook. You can go read a book. You can read a course. They can tell you what works for them. And they can say this plus this equals that. But the missing ingredient is you, whatever work you want to put in. And guys, just focus on, if there's something different in your life that you want to change, then go change it. You're the only one that can do it with whatever it is. If you want to lose weight, if you want to get a newer car, if whatever it is, if you don't like the house you're living in, all these things can change. Maybe you just want to get a new cell phone. Focus on things that you can control and things that you want to change, and then go for that, because we don't have a time machine. I can't go 20 years back in the past and change something that happened in 2001, 2002. There's nothing I can do. It's done and over with. But what can you do right now that's going to have an impact on your life for right now and in the future from 5 years from now? So that's all I got. Go follow Shane. All the links are going to be down below. We will catch you in the next one, guys. See you guys. Bye.